Hi, and welcome back, computer app students. We are in Microsoft Word, and we're actually going to produce a resume now. Again, as we take a look, we got our contact information being the very first thing on just about every resume out there. We're going to look at what would sell you best next. Is it your work experience or volunteer experience, or would it be education training? Whichever one is more important, whichever one sells you better should be next. And then the other should be coming after that. And then we'll look at our other relevant stuff to help fill up your resume, conversation starters when you're sitting down and talking to someone in the interview. So let's go ahead and open up a clean new Word doc. As we start, let's do our standard, turn on our show hide button, highlight it. Let's make some adjustments. Times New Roman 12-point font. And your paragraph spacings to 00 single, especially on the resume, because it may not be the same resume depending on the job you're applying for. You may want to cut and copy and paste things and move it around. You may be done and go, well, I got a whole bunch of empty white space that I want to fill. You can then start moving your paragraphs around, adding a little bit more space, maybe finding a font that's bigger, making some adjustments to your contact information to make it look good, and spread it out over one page if it looks like you got a whole bunch of empty white space. But start with your standard 00 single, 1-inch page margins all the way around, Times New Roman 12-point font. So let's start out. We'll create one for me. Brian M. Clemon, Max 298, Cokato, Minnesota, 321, and brian.clemon@bc.k12.mn.us. Double space in between, and now we come back here. We're saying which one sells me best. Work experience or education training. I'm going to go with work experience here. And again, you don't want to make people guess. So I'm going to go with the label work experience. And now from here, just be consistent. If you want to start on the left-hand side, fine. If you want to indent a little bit, maybe do a 1 tab in, but be consistent, right? Let's go Vassal Cokato High School. And I'm going to tab over. August 2001 to present. Now it isn't looking the way I want, so I'm going to back it up. What was I? Business teacher. Cokato, Minnesota. Now I'm going to go ahead and start plugging in bullet points with some of the things that I've done. Okay. Taught business classes for the last 20 years, including, then a little bit here, accounting, personal finance, economics, CIS macro, CIS micro, computer applications, modified econ, modified personal finance. A hint as I start looking at this, if I'm putting it down in the resume, be ready to talk about it in the interview. So if I'm putting in here that I've taught a modified economics class or a modified personal finance, I better be able to have a conversation with somebody about that. If I talk about accounting or personal finance or economic. What is CIS, macro, micro? Well, that's college in the schools, macro, micro. Explain it, CIS, personal finance, accounting, advanced accounting. So I've got one bullet saying I've taught for 20 years. And I got a couple of sub-bullets there. I'm going to back it up. You're always going to want to have at least 2 bullet points per idea that you're talking about. If you can't say 2 things about a job you've had, then I'm not sure we should be putting that job down in a resume. So besides teaching, I was also coached varsity, middle school, and youth athletics. Head and co-head wrestling coach, 26 years. Varsity, junior high, and youth football coach, 15 years. Whatever, right? Have at least 2, right? Don't just put 1 bullet down. Well, I'm telling everybody that I was a coach. Here I was a wrestling coach. Here was a football coach. JV and junior high, boys and girls golf coach, 10 years. Leave a space in between, and I'm going to say, well, what did I do prior to this? Well, before this, I worked for Prudential Life Insurance. And again, consistency. What company did I work for? When did I work there? What was my job title? Where was it? Now, do I have to have Coquito, Minnesota? I could probably get rid of this, but if I'm going to leave it in, be consistent as I work through the rest of them. So now this would be July 1995 to November 2000. What was it? Auditor, Minnesota. Again, bullet point, what did I do? So, auditor for the annuity division, auditor for the variable life insurance and Puco Life division, customer service representative. Okay. Now, the farther your jobs go back, maybe the less important they are. So I don't need as much detail in there. But you still want to be able to talk about all of these. This brings us to a idea and a concept. I've got a gap in employment, right? From July 95, when I graduated college, to November of 2000, I was gainfully employed. Now all of a sudden there's a 9-month gap between that. That doesn't look good. Okay, now there could be a legitimate reason why I had a 9-month gap, and there does. I was student teaching. So rather than, hugely important, number one, you don't make things up. You don't make up things that are not true, because there's a good chance if they find out you're going to get fired. And it's just the wrong thing to do. But if there is a gap, you need to be able to explain it. So for me, I should come back here and add in Prior Lake High School, November 2000, June 2001. Well, what was that? Student teacher. Or where was it? Prior Lake, Minnesota. Again, consistency. So I got who was it, when was it, job title where. Okay, space in between. Who was it, when was it, job title, boom. So bullet point, student taught in both high school and middle school. Again, need more than just one bullet. Taught courses including accounting, general business, computer applications. These look like subpoints, so indent them. And I was also co-head wrestling coach. Right. So again, gainfully employed for the last 26 years. Now, again, once it's done, we can make it look nice. We could go ahead and say, boy, that's a lot on the left-hand side. Let's, move this over to the right-hand side. Or let's move it to the center. Or let's make Brian Clement bigger. Or let's change the font. Again, do that after everything else is done. Maybe I want to bold, italics, and underline the heading work experience. Awesome. But now when I come down here to education and training, I want to maybe even use the format painter to copy this style and paint it over the top of this so it looks the same, okay? Separating ideas. What's my education and training? And again, chronologically, I'm going with my most recent work experience first, then the job I had before that, then the job I had before that. Student teaching wasn't a job, but it explains the gap between November 2000 and August 2001 between being an accountant and being a business teacher. So most recent would be North Dakota State University when I think it was March 2018. Now, they're not worried about March 7th, 2018 at 4 p.m. They're just ballpark, right? If you don't know the exact day, just put the month. To March, actually, I want to say it was 2017. So again, if I'm not sure, I should go back and figure out when I started at NDSU 2019. What was it? Masters in Family Financial Planning. If I did something really, really well, let's say I had a great GPA, let's say I was whatever, president of the whatever club. Again, bullet points, you want at least 2 of them. So prior to that, it was University of Minnesota. That was March 1998 to June 2000. Masters in Business and Marketing Education. Now, Microsoft Word is telling me that I got some spelling errors. Extremely crucial. Make sure you spell check this. Make sure you get someone to proofread this. Nothing looks worse than sending a resume that's got spelling errors, grammar errors, right? Don't be shocked when your employer takes a look at your resume and does one of these with it if you got those simple mistakes, right? Because this is your representation to the company of the job you're going to do for them. If you got spelling errors and mistakes in the way you're trying to get the job, what kind of a representation are you going to be when you're on the job? Okay, so important ideas there. And last one, St. John's University. When was that? September 1991 to May 1995. Bachelor of Arts in Accounting. All right. So, huge point, great point. We head back here. My goal was to get this to be at least 1 page or a page and a half. I am right now at a little bit more than a page, right? So I got to make a choice. Should I do some little adjustments, right? Should I go ahead and copy all of my information now that the whole thing is done and shrink it down to 11-point font so I can get it to fit all on 1 page? Okay, maybe yes, maybe no. And then I can play with, well, let's make Brian Clement bigger, a little, easier to read. Do I want to do, something different here? Maybe I'm going to bold business teacher. But then if I'm going to bold business teacher, I should bold student teacher. And I should bold auditor. Okay. If I'm going to do it to one, I should do it to all of them. Now, does it have to be the job title? Could it be the company? Again, there's some flexibility there, but your idea is you want consistency. Again, big important idea. I changed my font size to 11, and it's not important that my font size is 11, but look at what it did to my dates, right? If I was drawing a straight line here, these don't match up anymore. So I have to manually go back in here and start pushing things around so it looks clean and clear, right? File, print. What does it look like? This all looks like it's on a nice, neat, clean line. This all looks like it's on a nice, neat, clean line, right? Consistency. Maybe I can go ahead and put an extra space in between if I want, but again, I got to do it to all of them. Kind of spreading things out. Maybe I give an extra space there. Again, hugely important. Do a file, do a print, see what it looks like before you, one, print it or turn it into a PDF and attach it to an email. Extremely important. We're going to go ahead and stop this one and hit resume 3 in just a second.